So before we get into the meat of the video, I just want to make it abundantly clear that I'm immensely grateful for YouTube as a platform, both as a viewer and especially as a creator. Being able to make content for a living is something I never thought I'd be able to do. So the fact that this is legitimately my life still blows my mind on a near daily basis. I feel this disclaimer is necessary because I'm going to address a concerning situation regarding some of my more recent analytics. And while it'd be very easy for me to pull the corporation badge string for 20 minutes, I don't really want to do that. Being a YouTuber is great, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. But sometimes, even at a job you really like, your boss will do something weird. Something so inexplicably fishy that you just feel the need to address it. So that's what I'm gonna do today. Now, I tend to keep my content creation philosophy out of the public eye. It's not an intentional decision or anything, I just never felt an appropriate time to bring it up. However, for this video, I think I should share something that gives a bit more context as to who I am and what I believe as someone who does this professionally. I never, ever blame the YouTube algorithm for a video doing well or a video doing poorly. And I've actually faced criticism about this from my fellow creators, that the algorithm is in many ways uncontrollable, and if you win, you get lucky. If you lose, you get unlucky. I have personally never believed this. There are people in Silicon Valley right now getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to meticulously comb through every variable and push the limits of its optimization. The more sticky the platform is, the more time viewers spend browsing videos, and the more money Google makes. This means that whenever a video of mine doesn't perform as well, both compared to my previous content and the content of others, I don't look to the algorithm for even a second as to where I should be placing my blame. Frankly, I barely look around at all. I have two principles I try to adopt for every video I make: originality and value. Viewership alone doesn't quantify the validity to which I've achieved both of those goals. It's much more of a personal, internal criteria. I don't ask myself which videos will get the most amount of views. I instead ask myself which videos will be insightful while simultaneously never have been done before. Originality and value. If I feel I can't meet those expectations I set for myself, I drop the video entirely. For example, I was originally going to make a video regarding the pros and cons of MVM's infinite refund system. Then one day, a guy named Lister basically did it for me. My video idea was no longer original, nor did it provide any value that wasn't already being provided. And while if I did make the video, it'd probably do just fine in the algorithm, it's not about the viewership for me. So I took it off the list of future video ideas. The number one question every content creator should ask themselves is, why should someone watch me over everyone else in their recommended feed? If you don't have an answer yet are still keen to blame the YouTube algorithm whenever possible, you're the one with the problem, not YouTube. The algorithm is simply human psychology manifested into a digital marketplace. That's what the platform is. The sooner aspiring creators recognize that content creation follows the exact same supply and demand principles as any other good or service, the quicker you'll start realizing who's in charge. But treating the YouTube algorithm as an uncontrollable, omnipresent, untamable beast is easier than admitting you may not have the skills to wrangle it. So this remains a cope that hasn't fallen out of favor. In fact, it's probably more prominent than ever. I bring this up because I want to make it abundantly clear how much I detest the constant shelving of responsibility away from yourself as a creator and instead towards YouTube employees who are somehow supposed to magically engineer one's channel into internet stardom. I could go on about YouTube forever. Trust me when I say there's much more to this channel than meets the eye. There's a fair bit of brains behind the silly banana demeanor. But this latest issue I've encountered with my channel, I'm not quite sure what to make of it. It's thrown my never blame the algorithm mindset for a bit of a loop, and I think it's worthy of a discussion. So, if you're a frequent consumer of YouTube, you've no doubt seen this graph. It's a semi-common trope among a lot of big YouTubers to bring this metric up at some point in the video, usually done to motivate more people to subscribe. It's never worked on me personally, but you'd be shocked at how much it does boost your metrics. That's why people keep doing it. Now, to be completely honest, subscribers themselves don't actually seem to matter that much anymore. The home feed has gotten so in line with what individuals individual viewers want, regardless of if you're subscribed or not, that it's become somewhat known as a vanity metric nowadays. But here's a bit of a YouTube secret: it's actually much preferred if you get a higher percentage of non-subscribers viewing your video. You're throwing out more lines to potential viewers that weren't there originally, and if they stick around for some of your newer content or check out your back catalog, both of those are massive wins. Now, the percentage of subscriber engagement to non-subscriber engagement will vary depending on your channel's size, how long you've been accumulating subs, and probably a shitload of other factors that I'm not aware of. YouTubers might claim otherwise, but generally speaking, the higher the non-sub ratio is, the more viewers that video brings in, and the better it will perform in the algorithm. Here's a hastily put together graph showcasing my own percentages of non-subscriber engagement within the first 24 hours of a video's upload. This covers the past 12 months of my content, and every video barring one has a non-sub ratio of above 50%. The only exception is when I did a video on Australian weapons I'd like to see added to the game, which broke my record opening viewership for the first 2 hours, only to be mistakenly age restricted for the next 14 out of nowhere. And because age restricted videos are shafted from the algorithm, there was a disproportionate amount of subscriber engagement compared to usual. Now, here's the truth about this graph. It's actually missing one of my videos. My latest upload, MVM's Worst Change. If we add this one to the list, the graph looks like this. What the fuck happened here? Unlike every other video that maintains a 50-50 sub to non-sub ratio at a minimum, this recent video received a 24-hour sub to non-sub ratio of 99-1. A 98% reduction in non-sub engagement out of fucking nowhere. I looked at this and my initial reaction was, hang on, did another one of my videos get hit with a false age restriction? No, we're clean. Okay, well, what about demonetization or copyright claims? That has to explain it. Nope, we're fine there too. So I did what any YouTuber would do in this situation and bitched about it on Twitter. Shockingly, I got a response. If you're referring to your content having fewer impressions and views but have high CTR, it's possible they're watched by loyal audiences. You can also learn how YouTube's search and discovery system works and what you can do to help your videos reach more viewers. Obviously, these replies don't explain fuck all to how the non-subbed metrics drop to a 50th of what they normally are, so I pushed for a bit more specificity. I'm well aware of how the system works, but I've seen no information as to why this video in particular has 98% less engagement within that metric compared to all of my other content. A slight variation makes sense. A 98% decrease though, what gives? To which they dropped me a second YouTube 101 course on how to maintain viewership, as well as a link to YouTube support. Now, some might take this response as condescending, but I'm not going to blame YouTube too much for this interaction. As I've stated earlier, blaming the algorithm for personal content failures is very common, especially among small YouTubers. So I have no doubt that this is a perfectly legitimate response the vast majority of the time. Regardless, my experience with YouTube support is generally very good. Every false flag I've ever had on my channel has always been resolved by a simple live chat, but all fucking week they've been backed out the fucking door. So that option was off the table. I contacted a representative via email instead, explaining the case and providing every bit of evidence I could. The response was, interesting. Based on the data I have gathered from your channel's performance in the last 28 days, I'm not seeing any kind of unusual downtrend in your channel's impressions or watch time. This change looks to be in line with fluctuations your channel sees over time. What do you mean there's no unusual downtrend? This is the very definition of unusual. Sure, they said in the past 28 days, but even by that standard, the discrepancy between the recent video and the only other one I uploaded within that time period is still 98%. But it goes on. What you're seeing is not a drop in views. It just so happens that you had videos that caused dramatic spikes in impressions and views that made it look like your channel's performance dropped after these spikes. The views you're getting now are within the average view count your channel had been getting before the spike. I honestly don't even know where to begin. First of all, they use the terms videos and spikes, which seemingly appears to go in the direction of analyzing multiple upload data points. But I only uploaded once within that 28-day period, so they're either referring to a longer time frame, which has made it very apparent that this is a monstrous outlier, or they inaccurately gauge the amount of videos made within that 28-day period. Again, the amount being exactly 1. I'm inclined to believe the latter, as they finish off the paragraph by saying the words before the spike, likely referring to the one video I uploaded on July 6th. Unless they think every single video I've uploaded for the past year and a half counts as one continuous spike, and bringing me down to the ratio I had when I was getting 11 viewers is normal apparently, I think it's fair to say that Occam's razor is probably the former. But there is another issue with that claim. They refer to the views being in line with what I was getting before, but my issue was never with the view count at all. My issue was with the makeup of the view count. It made no sense as to why this video in particular suffered a 98% loss in non-sub engagement, regardless of whether or not it was on par viewership-wise with my other content. So I responded back and made my position as crystal clear as it could be, even supplying more evidence to support my claims. Their response? To copy-paste the exact same message they sent to me the first time. Thanks YouTube, fine detective work there. At this point, Twitter and emails were getting me nowhere, and live chat to this day is still plugged up. Now, I am very aware that YouTube doubling down on a claim doesn't necessarily mean they're correct. In recent memory, we had the Actman vs. Quantum TV situation, Summoning Salt landing a PB for getting age restricted twice, and just recently, now a situation with Turkey Tom. All cases where YouTube was clearly in the wrong, but remained steadfast in their judgment. However, when it comes to strictly analytical shortcomings, like I said, I'm very skeptical about blaming the YouTube algorithm for basically anything. Most criticisms surrounding it are completely unfounded. So I really tried to check my biases at the door and see it from their point of view. The video must not have resonated as well as the others. But I mean, it's the same concept, same format, same title structure, same watch time, same like to dislike ratio, same viewership among subscribers. Thumbnail's a bit iffy to be honest, but not 98% decrease iffy. Trust me when I say any excuse you've thought of as to why this could happen, I've thought about it 10 times over. Nothing explains having a 99:1 sub to non-sub engagement ratio on this video. In fact, even despite the ratio, when I first released my MVM bingo video a while back, it did worse viewership-wise than this one. And I didn't mind that at all. It was a completely new concept that deviated from all of my other content, and the initial thumbnail was kinda meh. And yet, while it was the low point of the year and had all those excuses working against it, the video still received 50 times more non-sub engagement than this one. So throw those reasons out the window. To make sure I wasn't crazy, I messaged some other YouTubers to see if they've seen anything like this before. I talked with Great Blue, The What Show, Travangel, Fishstick, Richter Overtime, and even some non-TF2 content creators like PK Beats and Internet Anarchist. Every single one of them told me that they have never seen a fall off like this before. Even stuff like Q&A videos, strictly for the fan style content, weren't even close to being this bad. So I guess this video in particular was so repugnant to the point of not only being significantly worse than all of my other content, but also every single video that was made by all of my contemporaries combined. I don't buy this, YouTube. 98% drops in any metric don't just fall out of the fucking sky. What, was FTX just Sam Bankman-Fried failing to resonate with his investors? No, there was a factor at play somewhere that was conducive to chicanery. It looked as though I had to do my own investigation, and I'm thankful I did, because now I can share what I discovered that'll hopefully prevent other people from making the same mistake. As I looked through my dashboard in YouTube Studio, scrounging for every bit of information I could, I realized that I had made 71 cents off the video, supposedly on the exact same day that I uploaded it. Now your first thought might be, Wow, Wheezy's really balling out. He might finally be able to buy that Mars bar at the Dollar Tree. But as a creator, I was more confused at the fact that I made any money at all. See, the way YouTube works is that you won't be given your revenue statistics for that 24-hour period until the day wraps up. For example, if you upload a video on Monday, you will not know how much money that video made alongside all of your other videos until Tuesday at a minimum, though usually it takes even longer than that. So the fact that I was given a number at all was strange, but I then realized that if I had monetary data, that probably means I had viewership data as well. I managed to figure out that the first day, quote-unquote's worth of viewers, was a grand total of 486. And by delving into the viewership history of the video, we can see that this data had to have been collected within less than 3 minutes of the video's uptime. That 3-minute figure is very important because I uploaded the video at 2:57 Eastern Time. Now, for anyone unfamiliar with YouTube, you're probably hearing that upload time and thinking, well, there's your fucking problem, buddy. But I can assure you guys, it's definitely not. Only a little over half of my audience is based in the Americas. The rest are scattered around other countries on the other side of the globe. All that really happens is the Europeans watch when the Americans usually would, and the Americans watch when the Europeans usually would. Ask any YouTuber who uploads at night for a plurality American audience, and they'll tell you the exact same thing. There's a marginal difference on launch, but by the day's end, things usually progress back to relative normality. Similarly, the most active times for engagement on YouTube are typically between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. Eastern, when much of America is either at work or school. Basically what I'm saying is, if you think uploading at night is the reason for a 98% dip in outside viewership, you're very much wrong. Or let me rephrase, you're right, just not for the reason you think you are. YouTube is primarily based in California, which points in the direction of them using Pacific time, which in that time zone means the video was uploaded at 11:57 p.m., 3 minutes before the day's end. And that's a problem, because within that 3-minute period, the vast majority of those viewers are made up of subscribers due to it having high overlap with the bell notification. Specifically on mobile, this gives you an easy pop-up that'll take you to the video instantaneously upon release. As a result, within that 3-minute period, the ratio of engagement of my subscribers to non-subscribers was 99:1. So, if my assumption is correct, my belief is that the day 1 engagement indicated that no one other than my subscribers were watching the video, and they used that very skewed perspective as the foundational basis going into the following days. This is the best explanation I've been able to conjure up, because there is no other justification for a 98% dip. I want to make it clear that the viewership of the video isn't what's on trial here. I've made videos that have underperformed, and it's definitely going to happen again. It's a part of the YouTube process, and it doesn't bother me. What does bother me is YouTube's insistence at every level of communication that this is just a standard deviation, a part of the ever-present ebb and flow of being a creator. Again, as someone who has never blamed the algorithm for anything in his entire life, there's no shot in hell I could ever believe this. A gradual recession to that number over time? I could buy it. But that's not even close to what happened here. So yeah, I've just accepted that the video is dead, at least for the time being. But at the very least, I can now plan accordingly and educate more people about it. All I can really do is advise more content creators to steer clear of uploading when a potential daily computation is on the cusp. Personally, I didn't think this would affect anything, but it appears there's a fair bit of evidence to suggest it does. Now it's over and done with. No use crying over spilled milk, but if I can warn others on how to make sure that glass doesn't tip, I guess there's a silver lining in the end. And hey, if this is all just a big misunderstanding and YouTube's actually entirely in the right, well, then this video with a wholly unique thumbnail style dissecting a topic that no one in my audience watches me for should also plummet to a 99:1 ratio. I guess we'll have to see if this one resonates too, though I'm pretty confident my theory will hold up. Don't expect me to talk about something like this again. I'm just gonna keep my head up for now and focus on other videos. Oh, and by the way, the era of monthly gaps in between 15-minute uploads is officially over. We're taking things a bit more seriously now. As always, thank you all for sticking around. I appreciate you all very much. See ya.